Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going back to the turn of the century. Not that turn of the century. We're going back to the turn of the 21st century, and we're going to take a look at the Palm i705 Pocket PC. Stay tuned. Now, if you were a young executive back in 2002 and you wanted to stay connected while you were on the road, you really only had a couple of different options. You had your cell phone, which at that time only made calls and sent texts with this strange thing called T9 texting, or you had a laptop computer. Now, to stay connected with that, you had to plug it into a phone line, which you didn't have on the go. Now, in 2002, Palm introduced the i705, which is a wireless capable device that you could check your email on, store your contacts, do a little bit of light work. It used a 33 megahertz processor from Motorola and touted the wireless connectivity that was the newest rage. This one's brand new in the box. Let's check it out. Now, I want to thank viewer Jeff over in California for sending this over to me. This thing's brand new in the box. And taking a look at it, I'm kind of excited to have the experience that I never had back in 2002. I couldn't afford one of these back then. Now, if we look at the box before we open it up, it is touting wireless email and more. And we even get free AOL Instant Messenger on this thing, which is kind of neat. Now, it's showing features on this to be secure wireless email, instant notifications, wireless internet access, pretty big deal for back then. We can create and edit documents, and does have built-in expansion, so it looks like you can use memory cards and a keyboard with it. As far as system requirements go, it says we need a PC that runs Windows 95, 98, NT 4.0, 2000, ME or XP, or Mac OS 8.8 to 9.x. And we need a USB port and a CD drive for the installing the software, so we'll do that once we get this thing unboxed. But for now, let's go ahead and get this thing open. 2002, and it's yet to be out of the box, so I think that's pretty neat. Let's take a look and see how we get in here. There we go. All right, moment of truth. All right, got a nice manual here, shrink wrapped. We'll take a look at that here in a minute. But inside, looks like we have the device itself, nicely wrapped. Oh, it's even got a little leather cover on it. That's cool. Looks like we've got the dock for plugging it into the computer. Like a dual cable for power and USB. We'll have that. What else do we have here? Looks like we've got our power supply, and then a bunch of packing materials, so pretty big box for not a whole lot of stuff. Alright, so here we've got our device, power supply, we've got our manual with the CD. Let's get out a period appropriate device and see about getting this thing set up. Now, I guess we can't forget the obligatory plastic peeling. There we go. Now let's get it set up. Alright, so we got everything unpacked, and we've got our trusty IBM ThinkPad T30 set up here. It's from about the same era, 2001, 2002 or so. So we'll start off, kind of take a look at what we got as far as the manual packet goes. Of course, we've got the Palm installation CD, so this will get us the desktop software. There's also bonus software on there and some extra documentation, so we'll take a look at that here in a second. Let's see, bonus software. We can activate our Palm handheld going onto their website. I'm sure that doesn't work anymore. Got the getting started guide, because this stylus and touchpad thing, internet access on the go, was pretty new back then. Got the welcome registration card, where they want to know how much money we make. Yep. the accessories catalog. Now this might actually be kind of neat here. Now, it looks like all of the software came on SD card. Dictionary and Thesaurus, Games, Road Atlas, Translator, Personal Finance, ebook series. Wow, I didn't realize that these had all these accessories you could get. Travel cards for travelers that, let's see, Adventure, City Sync, different cities, that's neat. 16 megabyte expansion card, backup card, car charger. Well, that's neat, little mini keyboard. I actually have a full-size portable keyboard for these too. That's some different folios. That's actually pretty neat. I'm gonna have to keep an eye on that. Solutions guide. Looks like this is basically some advertisements for other products that you could use in conjunction with it. That's kind of neat. All right, let's go ahead and get the software CD installed here and get this thing fired up. All right, we are greeted with the screen. Let's install the Palm desktop. All right, let's see what this thing does. All right, let's go ahead and get the i705 going here. Turn it on. Welcome. The following screens will walk you through setup, which takes just a few minutes. Remove the stylus and tap anywhere to continue. Now, let's see the following screen. We're going to be asked to tap the center of the target as shown below. This ensures that, okay, so we're going to calibrate the stylus. Tap arrows and boxes to change settings. United States, time zone. We are central here. Set date. What is today? Well, today's March. Well, actually, I better get to the right year. Definitely not 2000. 2023. March 14th. Time. Next. After setup, we could use the date book, address book, and other basic applications. Access the web from the MyPalm portal. Send and receive messages with wireless email. Alright, so after we need to set up the desktop software, then activate, which I don't know if we'll be able to do that or not since their servers have been offline for a long time. Alright, we finished setup. Let's click done. Alright, that takes us to our main screen here. Looks like we've got activate, address. Let's see what address is. That's our address book. Back to home. Calc is your calculator. Card info. Okay, that must be for an SD card. Clock with alarm, cool. Date book, looks like our basic appointment scheduler. And this has active sync, and if I remember correctly, that will sync with Outlook on your computer. So any appointments that you have in your calendar will get synced to it. I do remember that much of it. What's graffiti? The graffiti writing area is divided into two parts, one for writing letters, the other for writing numbers. Oh, so is this some kind of recognition? Let's try it. Begin the stroke at the heavy dot. Most characters are uppercase, written in a single stroke. Oh, so it has kind of its own alphabet. Ooh. Let's see. A. B. That's not too bad. D, E. Okay, well that's cool enough. Capitalize, begin with a cap shift stroke. Boy, they sure make this complicated. So we have to do that and then that. Nope. Yeah, that's complicated. Numbers. You know, for 2001, I guess that's pretty cool. Great punctuation. Alright, well that's neat. All right, hot sync memo pad for memos. Multi-mail is going to be the mail. Ooh, a palm.com account has been created for you in multi-mail. Thank you. Let's see if we can set that up on the computer. All right, we got My Palm. Okay, so it looks like that's a web directory. Notepad. Preferences, security, to-do list, and welcome. Oh, neat. All right, let's see if we can get this set up on the computer. Well, one of the things that I'll always do if there's a video that's a failure, well, it's going to be a failure. It looks like a lot of the activation process on these was actually done online through their servers. So I can't actually get it to sync up and activate, but that's okay. I mean, it's not like it's something that I would be using every day and keeping on me and taking the place of my cell phone nowadays. So I'm not too upset about it. It's still a neat little device. I mean, just in the few minutes that we've been messing around with it, for 2002, this is definitely something that I think I would have really liked to have had. I didn't have anything like it at the time. I had a computer similar to this IBM ThinkPad, but it's not really that portable. I mean, they still weigh 1,000,000 pounds, where this fits in your pocket. So pretty cool. So let's kind of dig into the specifics on this model and see where they kind of went from here. Now I'm going to quote Julie Streetemeyer, who reviewed the Palm i705 back in 2002. And she said, wireless means having no wires, to communicate with or to send communications wirelessly. Now those are pretty straightforward definitions. For PDA enthusiasts, the term wireless is synonymous with the Holy Grail, the ability to check email or surf the web anywhere and at any time, without needing a phone line, cell phone cable, or desktop PC. It's a truly wonderful dream. Now that dream actually came true when Palm released the Palm 7 in 1999 and then the Palm 7X in 2001. Now to that date, they were still the only major PDA manufacturer with integrated wireless features. Now the reviewer also knew about the RIM BlackBerry, which actually came out just a few months before the Palm 7, but she felt that it was not in the same PDA league as that of the Palm or Pocket PCs. The BlackBerry was more just an email device. Now the Palm 7 and 7X were nifty little PDAs that you could use to check email and grab bits of information through small query apps called PQAs. Those apps were fast and easy ways to get the weather, check news headlines, flight schedules, and many other things. Now the bad thing about the 7 was the fact that you had to raise a little flimsy antenna every time you wanted to send or receive data. You also had to manually check for your new email, unlike the BlackBerry, which actually did it for you automatically. But with time comes evolution, and as part of the natural progression, Palm introduced their new wireless PDA called the i705. Now let's talk about the hardware specs a little bit on this unit. In 2002, this was running a Motorola Dragon Ball VZ 33 megahertz processor, which is really slow. We're talking, DOS computer era processor speeds there. It ran Palm OS 4.1, had 8 megabytes of RAM, 4 megabytes of flash ROM, and it used a 160 by 160 trans-reflective monochrome LCD with a backlight, which means you could actually see it in the dark or if you were outside in the sun, which was kind of nice. A lot of the old monochromes did not have a backlight. It did have an SD expansion slot and used lithium polymer batteries, which were a pretty big deal back then too. Now for communication, it used USB in the cradle and also an infrared port if your computer actually had one. They were pretty lightweight. They weighed less than 6 ounces. Now my own take is that for its size, it does have a decent weight to it. It looks like it's metal, but it's actually mostly plastic. For a device that retailed for $499 at the time, I wish that it actually had a metal case. Now the screen on it is actually nice and slick. Using the stylus is easy. The buttons for scrolling and quick selecting the apps are actually made with a little bit of a dimple so you can use the stylus tip to activate them, which I thought was a pretty neat trick on their part. The status LEDs at the top serve a couple of purposes. When you do have the radio turned on, it blinks slow green to let you know that you're within range for wireless transmissions. If you're out of range, it's a slow red beat. Now the LED will also blink a fast red when you have a new email or a new date book or the clock or the notepad alarm has been activated, and it'll also glow green continuously when it's charging in the cradle like it is now. Unfortunately, it doesn't show you when charging is complete, which is a little bit odd. The left side of the i705 has an accessory slot which slides over here for like your covers. On the right side is where your stylus parks, and it's also where the SD card expansion slot is on the side. The bottom of it is a universal connector which allows it to work with ActiveSync. You can also plug in some cables and also the keyboard expansions that we saw back in the catalog earlier in the video. Now one of the biggest complaints back then and still for me is the fact that it's a monochrome display. I understand that monochrome was the most popular thing at the time, but color screens were available, and for $499 it would have been nice if this actually had a color screen. Battery life was actually reported as being excellent with these Palm devices. The monochrome screen probably has something to do with that. If you set the radio to always on, one reviewer was actually able to fully charge the battery and use the unit for 5 days before they noticed it dropped to 75%. Now, of course, the biggest feature of this device was the wireless. This was one of the first devices to automatically check and receive your emails, which doesn't sound like a big deal now, but back in 2002 it was actually something pretty revolutionary. The wireless capability used Palm servers, and they actually charged for the service. A basic plan with 50K worth of data transfers was $9.95 per month, going all the way up to about $40 a month for an unlimited plan. So believe it or not, the wireless plans actually used the cell networks of the time, which is actually something we take for granted today. So what's my final impression? Well, had I been able to afford the cost of one of these in 2002, I definitely would have had one. The BlackBerry had been introduced around this time as well, but I'd much rather have had a little pocket computer like this one rather than one of the first BlackBerries. So what are your thoughts? Did you own a Palm device? Did you like it? And when did you stop using it? Did you replace it with something else? Leave your comments below and I'll read through it. I'd love to see what you guys have to say about it. For now, that's all I have. So before I go, I'd like to remind you to hit the subscribe button because it really helps the channel. Until next time, I've been Chad for the Vintage Electronics channel. We'll see you next time around.